Hi there, my name's Meg and I'm a Schools and Colleges Engagement Officer at St Mary's University in Twickenham. Today we're going to be talking through how to write a great personal statement for a university application. I won't be doing this by myself though, and I'll have some help from the team. So let me introduce them to you now.
Hi, my name's Charlotte and I'm a Student Recruitment Officer at St Mary's University.
Hi, my name is Tiv. I'm a Student Recruitment Officer here at St Mary's University.
Hi, my name is Sonia. I'm the Student Ambassador Coordinator at St Mary's University.
Hi, my name is Simeon and I'm the Faith School Student Recruitment Officer here at St Mary's University.
Okay, so we split this video up into 4 separate sections for you. The first section will be on personal statements and the UCAS process in general. The second section is where we'll go through the do's and don'ts of writing a personal statement and the potential pitfalls that you might fall into when actually writing. The third section will be on the structure of a personal statement. So how should each section look and how should it be weighted? And finally, we'll then give you some examples that you can go away and critique for yourself. The important thing to note here is that we know this is a long video and we don't expect you to watch it all in one sitting. We've purposely split it into 4 separate sections so you can jump about and watch the information that you think will be most valuable to you. If you do decide to watch the whole thing today, I hope you find it useful. My colleague Charlotte is now going to talk for 4 or 5 minutes on the UCAS application process and personal statements in general. If you already feel like you're a pro on this, you can skip ahead to section 2.
Applying to university and personal statements. Researching university is a really exciting time. It's an opportunity for you to really look at what you love to do. And there's a huge selection of degrees out there. There are 37,000 plus courses at 370 plus institutions, and there are hundreds of courses available at each university. And every course, even if it's the same subject, is different. So when you're doing your research, you really need to look at the modules that are available. For example, history at one university won't be the same as history at another. So when you get round to doing your university application, you get 5 university choices on UCAS. Once you have all of your offers through, you'll pick one firm and one insurance. If you're interested in studying medicine, dentistry or veterinary, then actually you only get 4 choices. And due to the competition and number applications year on year, students can only apply for either Oxford or Cambridge, not both. And universities don't know other applications, so students shouldn't mention specific universities or location by name when they're writing their personal statement. So there's different criteria that we're going to look at as a university on your UCAS form. So as we've listed here, you've got your GCSE grades, A-level and BTEC grades. We're going to look at the personal statement you've written. Your teacher's going to provide a reference for you as well. What we might do as well is we might invite you in for some certain tests, and we might invite you to come for an interview or maybe an audition depending on the course. So for certain subjects such as primary education, we would need to do a skills test for you just to check on your level of maths and your level of English. With interviews, they could be for any course, but this is really an opportunity for you to show yourself off. But make sure that you don't have anything in your personal statement that is untrue, because the last thing you want is for someone to ask about that and then you get really stuck in the interview because you fibbed. When it comes to writing your personal statement, this is really your chance to sell yourself. You get one statement and that's used across all of your choices. You have 47 lines or 4,000 characters, depending on the way you want to look at it. And it's actually a piece of writing that's less than a page of A4. So you really do need to be concise so that we get as much information about you as possible in an actually very small piece of writing. When we're looking at your personal statement, we are looking at seeing these following things come through in your writing. But why do we want them? So a positive attitude towards studying. You're going to be studying for the next 3, 4, maybe 5 years, depending on the course that you're interested in. We really want to know that you actually enjoy the subject that you're interested in doing. When we think about an ability to think and work independently, you're going to be working in a different way to how you were at school and sixth form and college. Whilst there is support there available from your university tutors, there is much more of an expectation that you're going to be working on your own. When we think about an ability to persevere and complete tasks, we're looking at you seeing something through to the end. Sometimes you might have a university project that's quite long, and that might not be something that you're used to, but we want to know that you're going to get to the end of it. When we think about an inquiring mind, we're thinking once again about that positive attitude towards studying. asking questions. That's how you learn. When we think about an ability to work well in groups, we're thinking about how are you going to gel with your other students. Your other students on your course are going to be really people that you're going to work with quite a lot, and we want to know that you're going to get on with them because you're going to learn and teach each other. Good written English is really important, mainly because we want to know that you're going to be successful in the course that you're doing, and we need to know that you can communicate well. And as I said before, a passion for your chosen subject, because we just want to make sure that this is what you're really interested in, it's what you want to do, and that you're going to get through those 3 years and hopefully still say that you absolutely loved it.
So we've now reached the second section of this video. For this section, I'm going to go through the do's and don'ts of writing your personal statement. I will firstly list off the do's and then the don'ts, and then I'll give you some potential pitfalls that you might fall into when actually writing. The first thing we want to see within a personal statement is that the candidate has used effective communication and evidence of their achievements. Think back to what your English teachers used to say about point, evidence, analysis, or point, evidence, explain. Your point might be an attribute that you have. Your evidence will then back this up, and the analysis will tell us how that makes you a suitable candidate for university and for the subject that you want to study. When you're using evidence, make sure to use strong pieces of evidence. We'd rather see 1 or 2 pieces that back that point up really well, rather than you just listing a bunch of evidence off that doesn't really tell us anything, or doesn't explain why you want to study at university, want to study your subject, or why you think you'd be good at that university. Thirdly, you want to write a positive personal statement. We don't want to see any negativity at all. You may find this really hard or cliche, or even feel vulnerable about writing about all your positive achievements. I know I can sometimes too, but if you write positively, you will also sound more confident. A lot of students always say to me, oh, I don't like any of my A-levels, my classes, I didn't enjoy anything about my BTECs, I didn't enjoy sixth form or college. That's absolutely okay. Think about a module or a topic that you really loved and talk a lot about that and apply it to the subject you're applying for. Another key thing is to be honest. Some universities may call you in for interview and you don't want to be caught out because they'll have your personal statement in front of you. So if you've lied about something that you've read or something that you've studied, they will find out pretty quickly. Finally, you want to show that you have a true commitment to the subject that you want to study at university level. One way of doing this is to apply further reading or wider knowledge into your personal statement, something that you learn outside of A-levels or BTECs or other qualifications that enhance the points that you're trying to make within your statement. Okay, so now on to the don'ts. The first don't is don't use unnatural language. We want to hear what you have to say with your own words. The same goes for getting your parent or your carer or a friend or a teacher to read your personal statement. Make sure they just read it and don't actually write it for you. But again, make sure that you proofread and check your work over and over. Another important thing to note is when you're starting to write your introduction to your personal statement, you avoid cliches such as, since I was 7 years old, I've always had a passion for, or since I was young, I've always wanted to. Things like that will be unoriginal and definitely written before. The same goes for making your personal statement too abstract, so using extracts from poetry or from a famous author. Of course, it's okay to use wider reading and use evidence like that when you're making a point, but otherwise, try and be original with your introduction. Make sure when drafting your personal statement, you don't go on the internet and type in, oh, a good personal statement for the subject that you want to study. The chances are, no matter how deep you look onto the internet, someone has copied and used it before. When you submit a UCAS application, university admissions tutors, they can see whether you've plagiarised your work or not. Some universities will probably just decline your application, so be careful. Another don't was mentioned by my colleague Charlotte in the first section of this video. Because you only have one statement for 5 university choices, you need to make sure that you don't single out a university or a location within your statement. So if you're applying for universities across the country, for example, don't single out a specific city that you really want to study in. And finally, as I said in the first point with the do's, avoid negativity, always be positive. So now we're going to move on to the potential pitfalls that you might fall into when writing your university application. The first potential pitfall that students normally fall into is where they use the thesaurus too much. So the thesaurus is where you right-click on word and press synonym and find a word that sounds bigger and sounds smarter than the one that you've already used. So the first is a sentence that hasn't been thesaurused. It reads, I remember how excited I was when my mother told me there was a kid my age moving into the old brick house, the one Mr. Bukowski died in. Now, if I took a thesaurus to this, it would sound like, I recall how energised I was when my matriarch informed me there was an adolescent, my maturity, propelling into the aged brick dwelling, the one Mr. Bukowski expired in. Now, firstly, that is quite a mouthful. It's better to use shorter words so it sounds concise and it sounds clear and we understand what you're saying. And secondly, even though it might be a funny example for an admissions tutor to read, it doesn't reflect that well on you. Another potential pitfall that students might fall into is exaggeration. So when students say, "I've always wanted to be a doctor since I was in the womb," I mean, that's probably not the case. This also links to plagiarism. So when students can't think of anything original, they go online and they search for personal statements relevant to their subject. So an example of plagiarism would be this sentence taken from 2015. "Ever since I accidentally burnt holes in my pyjamas after experimenting with a chemistry set on my 8th birthday, I've always had a passion for science." Now, this sentence was used 234 times word for word in 2015 on UCAS applications. So like I said, stay away from the internet and be original with your opening sentences. The final one is grammar and punctuation. You've probably seen this before, but the sentence, "let's eat grandma," or "let's eat with a comma grandma," give two very different meanings. So make sure that you proofread your work over and over. But again, just to stress, if you're going to get a parent, a carer, a teacher or a friend to read it, make sure that it's your own words and not theirs. So that concludes my section on do's and don'ts. My colleague Sonia, now for section 3, is going to explain the structure of a personal statement.
In this section of the presentation, we will be looking at the structure of your personal statement. Now, you will begin your presentation with the introduction, which will be around 10% of your overall personal statement. In this section, you will need to consider why you want to study the course, what interests you have about the subject area, and what aspirations you have further to university study. Now, this is a really important section of your personal statement, as you will really need to convince the admissions tutors at this stage that you are not only serious about the course that you are interested in studying, but also that you've given some thought to what you want to do on completion of your course. The next section of your personal statement will be your opportunity to talk about your academic achievements to date. You need to think about what academic achievements and experience you have that will prepare you for university level study in your chosen subject, and you also need to make mention or reference to any further reading that you've done in your subject of interest. Again, this will show the academic tutors that you've given serious thought to the course that you want to study, but also will demonstrate to them that you are ready and prepared for the next level of your learning and teaching at university. The next section of your personal statement will give you an opportunity to write about your work experience, employment, and volunteering experience. In this section, you'll have the opportunity to write about any skills you've gained from your work experience, employment, or volunteering that's going to prepare you for university level study. Again, this is a great opportunity to talk about all the skills and the qualities that you've gained from these experiences and how you feel this is going to help you when you go on to university. What the admissions tutors are looking for here is your ability to talk about the skills that you've gained. For example, if you've been employed as a retail assistant at your local supermarket, you'll be able to talk about any skills you've developed in that job. For example, the ability to work very well with customers, having excellent customer service skills, or the ability to problem solve. And then you can talk about how you hope to transfer those skills at university. So, for example, being able to work well with others on your course, and as well as with students and staff in the wider university. The next section of your personal statement, you can talk about any extracurricular activities or rewards that you've gained. Again, this is your opportunity to talk about anything that you're doing outside of your studies. So, for example, if you are captain of your football team, you can talk about any skills that you've developed there. You can talk about, your leadership skills. You can talk about, your ability to, work hard to achieve, in that team that you're in. And this will again demonstrate to the admissions tutors that you have other interests outside of your course. After all, it has been said that anyone with interests is probably an interesting person. Finally, you will finish your personal statement with a conclusion, and this conclusion will need to be around 10% of your personal statement. This will enable you to say a little bit more about what you hope to bring into the university environment in terms of what your skills, in terms of your qualities. And above all, you need to really assure the admissions tutors that you are ready and prepared to see through the entire duration of your university study, and also that you are aiming to succeed to the best of your ability whilst on the course.
You've now reached the fourth section of this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put up examples of personal statements which need critiquing. Through everything that you've learned in this video, try and critique them for yourself. Pause the video on the extract, and if you need hints or you want the answers, press play. There are 3 examples. The first extract is taken from a personal statement where the candidate is explaining why they want to study the subject. The statement reads, "My favourite subjects have always been science and maths because there is usually a right answer to any question that is imposed. I'm a ravenous tiger feeding on maths and science to gain knowledge. I would do anything to know an answer." Pause the video and critique this for 5 minutes. Press play to know the answers. The second extract comes from a personal statement where the candidate is explaining what they currently enjoy studying. The statement reads, "I have studied physical education by myself and have developed an interest in it. I would like to study PE and sports science. I feel that the 2 subjects combine well with one another, and on many occasions I have found that my knowledge of one has helped me with another." Pause the video for 5 minutes and critique the extract. Press play to find the answers. The final extract is taken from a personal statement where the candidate is explaining any outside reading or related links that they have used within their studies. The statement reads, "I've maintained my close contact with biology and used different books as my references, like Science of Biology. I've always enjoyed presentations by Professor Richard Dawkins. When I was younger, I made use of Kingfisher Encyclopedia very often." Again and finally, press pause and critique the extract. Press play to find the answers. Okay, so now we've reached the end of this video. My colleagues are going to go through and round up their top tips on how to write a great personal statement.
Universities are looking for quality over quantity. We'd much rather see a personal statement which has really strong evidence explained well, rather than a personal statement which lists loads of evidence but doesn't explain it very well, or it doesn't tell us why you're suitable for university study. Remember, you only have 4,000 characters.
Remember to use natural language when writing your personal statement, as we want to learn about you and what you sound like, not your parents, carers, friends, or the internet. You don't need to use big words either to sound smart. It's just important to remain concise and clear so that we know what you're talking about and we get to know about your achievements.
To show that you are really interested in the subject that you're going to be studying, remember to use wider reading examples within your personal statement. It is okay to mention books, journals, and authors that you've come across to support your point on why you want to study the subject, but also to contextualize your interest in the real world. It is also a really good tool to use at university level writing.
Hi, my top tip is to always check your work. Check it for spelling, punctuation, and grammar errors. Once you've finished writing, leave it alone and then come back to it with fresh eyes so that you can spot something that you hadn't seen before. Also, get a friend and or family member to check it as well, because they might find something that you didn't see. So always check your work. You don't want university academics finding spelling errors or punctuation errors when you want to study their subject.
So we've now reached the end of the video. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions about personal statements, applying to university, or university in general, please do get in touch, and good luck.